Good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to our presentation for OLLI Travel Insights, easy as 1, 2, 3. I am your host, Michael Ziegler with Nanda Journeys. We're so excited to have you join us, and we look forward to having this insightful and amazing conversation. Before we get started, wanted to let everybody know that everyone on the webinar today is muted, but that doesn't mean your questions aren't welcome. They absolutely are, and we want you to be a part of this conversation since it is a very conversational topic. So please, if you have any questions, please open up the tab that says chat or the Q&A tab and put your questions in there. We will try to get to them as we go throughout this conversation. We're excited to have that conversation include your questions and hopefully our answers to your questions. Also, this webinar is being recorded. This presentation, this conversation is being recorded. So if you do have to step away, or if you have someone on your team, or if you have a colleague or a friend who really wanted to be here but was busy doing something else, please know that we will be sending out the recording to everybody who was unable to participate, as well as those that were able to be here, so that way you can kind of take a second look and grab any of those insights and details that you might have missed the first time around. And with that being said, we're so excited to be joined by the founder and CEO of Nanda Journeys, my friend, Nicola Balmain. Nicola, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good to see you, Michael. Always. I think this is our fourth conversation about OLLI Insights, and I can't believe how fast the time goes. And the last time we actually had this conversation, and here we are again. So it's great to be online and welcome everybody. As Michael said, we're here for a conversation. So we're hoping that our insights that we share will provide you with some creative ideas or spark some ideas or have you revisit something that you've been meaning to get to. And we're here both as your partner and your kind of soundboard. So yeah, great to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And this is, I think, our fourth in the series of OLLI Travel Insights. I'm pretty sure our fourth webinar in the series. So we're super excited. I think this is the first time we're actually joined by a partner of Nanda Journeys, and that's Judy Tilton, who's the travel study manager there at Eckerd College. Judy, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you a part of this conversation as well today.
Thanks so much for the invitation.
Yeah, so
Judy, it's
tell us a
so good
little
to
bit
see
about,
you.
tell us a little
Well,
bit about your travel program.
yeah. So Eckerd, I was really fortunate to be able to have a dedicated staff person who works on travel, and I do travel for alumni and for other adult lifelong learning groups on campus, and our OLLI, and it's really been a journey and exciting for me to grow the program.
Awesome. And one other question, I think, tell us a little, how did you come across Nanda, partnership wise,
Ah,
and how did you start
sure.
working with us?
So one of the things when I had first started, I've only been at Eckerd for a little over 3 years, and somehow I got on your mailing list, Michael, and you reached out to me about one of these presentations. And what I was finding when I was meeting with other travel providers was that we were really limited in fitting in with an existing itinerary and dates and costs. And I was looking for something more flexible. So when I attended that first session, it really sparked the idea that there are other providers out there who can offer more flexibility. And so that's how I first reached out then to you guys to say, what can we do together?
Awesome. And we're gonna be talking about all about that flexibility today. And maybe somebody on the conversation today is having the same thought process you're having, and this is their first introduction to the things that Nanda Journeys does. But it's not just about Nanda Journeys, it's about building and creating and sustaining growth within a successful travel program at OLLI. So today we're going to talk about the three major steps of building and creating and growing a successful travel program. And they all happen to begin with C: Cornerstone, community, and communication. So we're super excited to talk about these three steps, but at the very basic level of most things that you build, even a house, it starts with the foundation. So Nicola, tell us a little bit about how important that foundation is to building and seeing the successful travel programs that you've seen at OLLI programs across the country.
Yeah, I think the cornerstone is everything. And you're right. If you're building a house, it's got to have a solid foundation. And that solid foundation has to have so many different considerations and factors. It's like, do you have the right people to build your foundation? Are there people that are going to be surrounding you to support you? You might want to build a house. But do you have the money, the resources, the talent, all of those things? We need to have a team surrounding us. So aspiration is one thing, but having a really good solid team is also really critical. And we also want to talk about that team can be in many different forms. So as we go through the course of the conversation today, we'll talk about every OLLI's unique identity. So I think the thing that I've learned in working with OLLI's is everybody is different. And Judy mentioned she is dedicated and a staff member. Not all OLLI's have that particular ability to dedicate somebody to those travel programs. So your cornerstone is understanding what kind of travel program do you want? Is it a day trip program that aligns with your SIG programs, maybe? Do you want to go international? Do you want to have multi-day programs? So all of those considerations and then understanding what resources you have and whether or not you have the right hosts. And that's something we wanted to talk about a little bit. And Judy, we've talked about hosts and
Yeah,
whether or not that's how do you identify the right
yeah.
host? Because you seem to have managed to get some really fantastic leaders,
We have
notwithstanding
it.
yourself, of course, in
Well, no,
that.
no, no, but it's a challenge sometimes getting. I wanted to just add real quick that I also, that people may not know, is that we kind of have a mix of programs. So I build some programs from scratch that are
Mhm.
exclusive OLLI. We have some that we do with other travel providers where we might be joining a group. So we had a group that went to France and we were about a third of the ship. Um, and then we have our unique Nanda relationship. So, I think that while you may not be able to have a dedicated staff person to build your own trips from scratch, working with someone like Nanda Journeys is one of the easiest ways to get that kind of customization at the ground level that you want. So starting with that foundation. And it's hard sometimes to know who to trust, right? And so
Yeah. Mhm.
um, one of the things that I like, so around hosts and building the curriculum, finding the right host. Sometimes it's challenging. In our particular situation, we're a small college. Our faculty are stressed like everywhere. And so I've been fortunate to have some great OLLI lecturers from the community who have taken trips with our groups and led trips for us. Um, and then, we're looking at ways always to get our faculty more involved, our professors more involved. But it's hard. But I think that one of the things about travel is that people are passionate about it, right? Who love
Mhm.
travel. And so it doesn't have to be somebody with a PhD or a subject matter expert. If they can engage your members with that passion, people will
Mhm.
come to trust them and trust your program, that it's going to be a worthwhile experience.
I think that's a really, really good point because we've seen a whole range of different experts. They come in different forms, and I think purpose and passion, which coincidentally aligns with our motto, but it's true. You have to
Yeah.
have passion for what you're doing. And one thing that really surprised us in one of the other OLLI institutions was we had a professor who was a science professor, but his passion was puppeteering in Austria. And, it was just through this kind of random conversation. And I find those random conversations and trying to identify opportunities where you can have random conversations because they actually are the things that lead to that passion conversation
Yep.
where they might be doing their everyday thing and that's perfect and is obvious, but it's the not obvious thing. And I think you've had something similar for Singapore, a journey that you're creating for
Mm.
Singapore.
Yep, that's right. We're doing a trip next August to Singapore with one of our members of another lifelong learning program on our campus. And he happens to be from Singapore and had been talking about Singapore with some of the members. And they came to me and said, could we build a trip? And we've built it. And it's so far the registration is going well. It's not till next August. But that's the kind of thing. So we're hosting a almost like a lunch and learn, but in the evening. So at 4 o'clock, he's going to do a talk next month on Singapore and sort of the history of how Singapore became this powerhouse economy in only 60 years. But then after a 15-minute break at 5:15, we're going to have a social, and he's going to make Singapore sling drinks and have a trivia contest. And so I think there's a lot of creative ways. Michael, you mentioned coffee hour or coffee time with some folks. But I think you're right, Nicola, that getting people off of their their main topic and onto something that they really are truly passionate about or love is a wonderful opportunity. And just getting connected with other people. And I saw that professor and on one of your webinars, and
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
he was infectious. Watching him,
Yeah.
I was, yeah. So,
Yeah, and he did a little welcome as well from Austria. He was visiting Austria, so
mm,
he's like, "Hey, come and join me." But the travel committee members and your community leaders and your special interest group leaders. So a lot of the OLLI programs, they just have these special interest groups that just blossom out of nowhere.
mhm,
So it could be that they have an Italian restaurant that they go to and talk about recipes, and that could ultimately be a food and wine journey to Italy. There are so many
yeah.
different pathways to the energy. And I think it's tapping the energy, is identifying where is the energy in your Ollie. Like
Mhm,
which classes sell out, which classes can you put on the curriculum every year, and people will sign up instantly. Those
right,
are the things I think to identify for. And that's where your energy is, that's where your passion is. And then that's where your opportunity is, right? Can
right.
you
Right.
convert that into a travel program then?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think the host of a tour is such a secret sauce kind of thing, right? It's like
Hmm.
that unique aspect of a tour that really brings people in. And if they're passionate about it, then that passion exudes other people to get passionate about it too. Just a question to you, Judy,
Yep.
in terms of selecting your hosts, if you kind of have the same hosts that you work with every year, do you do anything unique to kind of find new hosts that, can kind of help other OLLI programs maybe listening today that might be able to be a best practice that they could potentially use to find hosts within their community?
Mm, I haven't gotten that far yet with having
Yeah.
enough programs built out yet. But for instance, I'm looking at a trip to Japan in 2027, and that came about through a colleague. And I don't really work with her at all, but I work with her husband. But she lived in Japan for a while, and they just were going on a family trip over the summer. And I gave her a list of things and places and said, I want you to look at this through the lens of our OLLI members. Would this be
Hmm.
a good experience for them? And she came back and we brainstormed some ideas. She would be a terrific host. Um, I'm very protective of my people now, and so I wouldn't just turn them over to anybody, but she's somebody that I would totally trust. And then she has a connection with a Japanese professor, so that's we're looking to make. So that's how I think it's just connection, connecting with people who are interested and asking the question, who did you go on this who did you go on this trip with? If somebody came back and they're raving about a place that they went, feel
Yeah.
free to ask them, and people love to share when they have good experiences. So,
Yeah, I mean
Definitely.
that's a great example of a host can kind of be found anywhere. So just,
mhm,
looking through your community leaders and your experts and lecturers and professors, like just kind of keeping your eyes and ears always peeled. But obviously the destination is
yeah,
something that, also a very important aspect, selecting the right destination, because if your host becomes excited about the destination, that excitement gets other people excited and gets people registered and signed up. So it's a very important aspect of selecting. And I think the three of us had a conversation before this. None of us are big fans of surveys to select destinations.
no.
So Nicola, tell us a little bit about like destination selection. I'd love your insight as well, Judy, in regards to how to select the right destination for those that are really interested to get people interested in going.
Yeah, I think we have abandoned surveys because we've tried and tried, and regardless, we ultimately land in the same place that people don't sign up for the things they said they wanted to sign up for on the survey. So I think there is aspiration versus reality, and that aspiration might not necessarily be tied to that all-important host or the expertise or where the passion is. Again, where we're talking about that passion. So if people are really fascinated by diverse cultures and architecture, then, Morocco might be a great
Mhm,
example, our top picture up there. But if you're really interested in, food and wine, there are a multitude of places, and Italy might come to the top as being obvious. But I was just recently in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I'm currently in Croatia, and they have amazing food. So it's,
mhm,
a destination has multiple sides to it, and
mhm,
it's a balance of, is it aspirational versus reality? And are we pushing the boundaries a little bit? It's somewhere where you can't really go by yourself. Because I
right.
think we've all
That's a
learned,
key.
Yeah, right, Judy?
That's key. And
Yeah.
the other point about that is that what I have found, and I think this is probably true for other ollies around the country, is that, you know, there's always going to be this core group of our members who for whom travel is extremely important and they will always make it a priority. So a lot of those people have traveled, they've done their big bucket list trips, right? They've been to
Mhm.
Australia, they've been to the places that they wanted to go the whole time they were working. And when they first retired and had the ability to go, they went. Now they're looking for the unique experiences and the places they can't go by themselves necessarily. So I think that's an opportunity for us. Now, that translates maybe into smaller group size. So
Yeah.
what do you, you know, then you have to weigh the profitability. Is it too expensive if you have fewer people? And, you know, that's why we're kind of looking at how we can do homegrown trips that might be very specific to a targeted group that wants something very hands-on or very specific versus a trip where we just fit into another provider, like the one we went in France. We did the river cruise from Paris to Normandy, versus something big bucket item like South Africa. So
Yeah.
I think by providing different options, um, you know, you're going to find the sweet spot for people. But
Yeah.
yeah, the destination, there's no secret. So when I've done tons of research on this, on how to pick the right destination, and my answer is I don't think there's any, you know, right
Right.
answer for how to do
Yeah.
it. It's just you,
I think intuition, it's, we've
some
all
of it.
been doing
Yeah.
this for a long time now, but I think there is an intuition and also those tried and true destinations,
Mm,
like your Irelands and your Italys and even your Australias. And you're right, they check the bucket list, but how can you see them differently? And I
mhm.
think about our Ireland and our Road to Peace journey, which is a completely different lens. So, the world is a small place these days, but
Yeah.
it's so intricate. So if you can tie that passion again, that topic, how can you see it through that lens? And then even if you've been before,
Mhm.
that's something we talk about a lot is, oh, well, we've been there already. I said, well, if people want to go back, they can see it a completely different way,
Right.
and it's that,
They're not like checking off all the boxes. Did I see the Eiffel Tower? Did I see Notre Dame? You know, they're
right.
able to more sort of relax into the idea of exploring things that they wouldn't normally have looked at maybe.
Yeah, so I think that's something I'd share with our audience tuning in is there is a different way to see a normal destination as well. And I think that's where the lifelong learning angle and integrating with people that are also part of other lifelong learning communities, like in South Africa, for instance, is
Yes.
how can you integrate with people that are also doing
Yeah.
the same thing as your members? And how can you connect them so they can understand life and the way of living?
Mhm.
So there's so many different ways to look at a destination, but again, back to that passion. Who in your member circle, your lecturers, your travel committee, what are they passionate about? And then
Mhm.
build around that and look for those little unique hotspots. Again, I come back to which classes sign up every time, and then
Mhm.
build a curriculum around that because
Right.
people are already passionate about the topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a curriculum-driven itinerary is always going to be a much more engaging classroom experience as well as in destination experience. So when you can
Mm.
do that, that's extremely effective way to find the right destinations and to get excitement and engagement around those destinations as well. So
I
once,
think
yeah, go on,
Oh,
Judy.
oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go
No,
on.
I think a lot of ollies already sort of use that method with the obvious one is language classes.
Hmm.
When they offer a language class, and a lot of our ollies do that, people want to then travel to you know, a destination that uses that language. So that's an obvious one that I think,
Good one. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
tap into if you
Yeah,
haven't already.
learn Portuguese, go to Brazil. Yeah,
Right.
those
Yeah.
kinds of things. Awesome. And once that foundation is built, which I mean, obviously takes time and effort and energy and all the things that come along. Once you have a strong foundation, the next thing is finding the right partners, right? That's the old saying, it takes a village, right? So it's
Yeah.
not just you by yourself kind of running and managing your travel program. It's also you want to make sure that those right partners are there to support you and be an extension almost of your team. So Nicola, in terms of you being on the other side and supporting OLLI partners and supporting them to their programs, Where do you see kind of that intersection of travel partner and extension of team, and how do those lines kind of intersect?
Yeah, I think is really important. I think the one thing I've learned, the key thing that I've learned is all the directors and their boards and the member committees, they're stretched so thin, right? So they're all very, very busy. And I know, Judy, this time of the year, thank you for giving your
Yeah,
time because I know this time of the year is super busy
yeah.
for the OLLI teams, launching into a new academic year and everything. So I think it's really important to identify a partner that is willing to be you, right? And to self-identify and not impose their identity on you. Because again, the theme of our conversation today is every OLLI has a unique identity, has a unique membership, has unique needs, and it has a unique timeline. And I think that's why I'm really loving my partnership with Judy and the other Ollies across the countries because I get to adapt how we work, and it's not just the same. So
It's true.
adaptability, yeah, but it makes for
Yeah,
our team has a more creative energy because we
right,
get to be an extension of your brainstorming and not just
right.
our brainstorming. So,
Yeah.
that's what's key for me is being able to be that additional lift, that heavy
Hmm.
lifter for you.
Yeah.
Like if we have a conversation that lasts, I don't know, Judy, we had a conversation that lasted an hour, I think. And then from that, we've several spin-off ideas, and we were able
Yeah,
to do the research on where, how, when activities. So
right.
it doesn't
And
have
our
to be a big time commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. Yeah. And I would say, there's some travel providers out there and you hand everything over to them and they take care of everything. And that's great. If that, if that's meets your goals for your travel program and what you can do as far as having a team. Um, but I think that that's been a really unique thing about working with Nanda Journeys is that we are brainstorming things together. We are coming up with things. I was expressing to Nicola about the South Africa trip that we had somebody make a comment about the safety for it. It's almost strange to say and repeat this, but safety for white Americans not because of regular, crime that might be in Johannesburg that you hear about or Cape Town, but because of the farmers who are being persecuted and the Trump policy to allow Afrikaner farmers to immigrate to the US. And that came up, and it was interesting to me because I hadn't thought that that would be a barrier for anyone. And so, through talking with Nicola about it, we came up with this idea for a class that we offered on basically to get at race relations today in South Africa and
Mhm.
talking basically about apartheid today. Like, where are they after the end of apartheid? It's only been in the span of 30 years or 25 years. So that was amazing. And getting back to being a trusted member of the team, Nicola recommended a woman that she's worked with for many, many, many years to do the program for us from South Africa. And I saw the woman's bio and I was like, oh my gosh, she sounds awesome. But for me, I didn't think about it any further. I gave a topic of what we wanted our learning objectives would be for this program and how long. And I just turned it over. And, I trusted that if Nicola recommended her, then she'd be great. And she was. It was really, really a wonderful program. So there's a lot of creative things you can do if you have a partner who has the time and energy and wants to learn about your OLLI program and how they can work with you on your program.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
something to think about as well is creating something that we've done is the professional purpose statement. So that
Mm,
really then has you hone in on how do you want the program to feel? What do you want to
mhm,
do? How long do you want to go? Are we tying learning outcomes into a specific piece of curriculum or class or topic? And then that really cuts down on the what should we do, what shouldn't we do. It naturally evolves then because
mhm,
we're kind of approaching it like a class, like developing, a class.
right.
It's exactly the same kind of approach, allows us clarity, focus, and really then developing activities that really speak to all of that. So again,
Mhm.
that's that identity, that unique personality for your OLLI and what your members want to feel like how much downtime or what kind of
Mhm.
pace, what kind of activities. So I think that's customizable is really key and
Hmm.
a good listening ear, like for all of us to have to
Yeah.
understand like how different is it compared to maybe another program that we've delivered. It could be similar,
Mhm.
but we adapt and change that to make sure that it fits with you.
Yeah. I think one word that's missing from this slide is collaborative.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's what I'm hearing amongst the conversations that you guys have had together, and those partners, those travel partners. I mean, every business is different, but there are travel partners that are just like, this is what we do, this is how we do it, and there is no
Mhm.
deviation from it. And then there are travel partners that you can bring them your ideas and your thoughts, and they'd be like, well, let's figure out how we can do this, right? And
Yep.
so I think
Mhm.
that's an important part of finding the right travel partner, that it's not
Mhm.
necessarily going to say yes to absolutely everything that you want, because they realize there are things that are feasible, things that aren't, but things that will add
Right.
to it, but things that'll also take away from the experience.
Mhm.
So
And
I think
that's where
those,
we depend on your expertise, right? Because we don't do this full time for,
right.
most of us. So we do need that kind of expertise from a travel partner.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think
And
that's integrity as well in the conversation, right? Is knowing when to say no. Because
yes,
mhm,
sometimes we want to say yes to everything, and you're right,
yes,
Michael. It's like sometimes it's better to say no and to have a good experience and say either
right,
no, this is not the right time, or this
right.
is not the right destination for you, and I just
right.
don't think it's going to work. So we've had that conversation with our other folks that we design programs with, and I want to do this, 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 and this, and like
Hmm.
it's not going to work. That's not
Yeah.
going to work because it'll be a poor experience for you and for the people traveling. And
Hmm.
we had the conversation about an elephant sanctuary that we wanted to visit in a destination, and we said no, because it's not ethical. It doesn't conform to the ethical standards that we've set for ourselves. So having somebody that's willing to say no and not just be that passive, sure, whatever you want, I'll do it for you because I
Hmm.
want your business.
Right.
That's an important conversation to have as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then also in terms of community, it goes above and beyond travel, just travel partners. I mean, Nicola, you work with a lot of OLLI programs, but and Nanda Journeys does, but nobody knows an OLLI travel program coordinator like an OLLI travel program coordinator that live the same life. And so
Mhm.
collaboration across different OLLI institutes
Hmm.
is important as well in terms of sharing best practices and that sort of thing. Judy, I don't know if you've ever collaborated, but tell us a little bit about your experience in terms of
Yeah.
working with OLLIs to either fill your trips or just guide
Yeah.
best practices.
So we're located in Tampa Bay in St. Petersburg, Florida, and right across the bay we have University of South Florida, and they have an OLLI program and a travel committee that's really active. And I've met with them a couple of times, and we're looking at ways that we can build a trip together. But also they've promoted my trips, I've promoted their trips, and I think again back to that trust issue when you can tell your members I'm working with this not just here's a flyer from another organization that's doing a trip, but we know this organization and we've partnered with them in other things, and they're an OLLI member, an OLLI Institute um, network member, and when you have that connection, I think it helps strengthen it as well. um, and yeah, we're even looking, at other sort of groups that have learning as part of their adult lifelong learning as part of their programming to see how we might partner. So yeah.
And I
Yeah, I
think it's a
mean,
great jumping off
yeah,
point as well. Sorry, Michael, to
no worries.
interrupt you there, but I think it's a great jumping off point for so all the folks out there that have not got a travel program up and running yet.
Hmm.
You can identify with somebody and say, hey, I want to see whether or not a travel program might
Hmm.
work and
Right.
see if our members are going to respond to this.
Hmm.
And then you don't have to do the work, right? You just tag along with another OLLI group just to
Right.
test the water. So that's a
Right.
really
Mhm.
easy way to say, hey, would you be willing to allocate 4 spots for
Right.
us? So we can see whether or not this is something our members actually want before we
Hmm.
put the
Right.
time that we don't have into
Right.
researching if we should set
Right.
up a travel program. And then there is that partnership and collaboration of filling trips as well.
Hmm.
There's been some great cross collaboration the South Africa lecture that we
Yep.
put together. Am I right in remembering that there were 320 people registered for the
Yes,
lecture?
yes.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and we
that
opened
came
that
out of
up.
nowhere, right?
Right, it came out of nowhere. We opened it up to anyone and didn't charge for it. And
Mhm.
clearly the interest of we're on to something. People are interested in this. So that, and again, that could spin into a whole separate program just on it, you know, having to do with lecture-based talks about South Africa or another destination without ever bringing up the destination and the trip um,
Exactly.
for people.
Yeah.
So the other thing about collaboration is don't forget, like I've had some wonderful meetings with other OLLI travel committee members about how they're just starting their journey to look at travel, or I've needed help and I've reached out to other programs that are much larger and how they have set up their program and travel. So don't be afraid to ask people for help, or but say you just want to bounce some ideas off somebody. Yeah, we're all stretched for time, but I always find that after you have those kind of sessions with somebody else, it refuels you and gets your creativity going and flowing. So take advantage of that network that we do have.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the OLLI Institutes across the country are sometimes an untapped resource for many OLLI directors. And so I think that's definitely a great place to start to continue to build your community. But then also you have a community that's on the ground that's actually taking care of the travelers when they're in destination. And Nicola, you've lived this longer than us in
Yeah.
terms of working with those ground operators and kind of making sure that they're, providing immersion and personal touches. Tell us a little bit about, working with a travel partner, on the OLLI level in their relationships that the travel partner has with those ground operators and how important that is.
Yeah, for us, it's relationship first, right? So business second, because you develop a relationship first, you really understand your local partners, because then they become part of this extended team, right? Because without them, without trusting them, again, that word trust,
Yeah.
passion, team, all of those things
Yeah.
are really important to us. And we're open to introducing our local operators to the people that we're delivering programs for. Again, not to go back to that Africa, it's just a perfect example. Kira is our ground provider. I've been working with her for 18 years, but she's passionate about her country, about its
Yes.
history. She's very dynamic.
Yeah.
And I said to Judy, well, okay, we'll bring her around to talk to. A lot of people are scared to give up their resource.
Right.
Right, because but if you have a collaborative conversation about resource sharing,
Hmm.
then you just have to trust the integrity of the other person because it's
Right.
it's not about whether or not I'm willing to give up my long established relationship that I've curated over 18 years. It's not
Right.
about that. It's about, does it fit the purpose? Like, can it
Hmm.
add value? Can it add value to this program that we're doing? And it does.
Yep.
And we're an open book when it comes to that. And I think that allows for this team collaboration to have a holistic nature about it. So we're not trying to be secretive and say, oh,
Hmm.
well, I can't let you have that piece of information. It's like,
Right.
no, because we all have to understand how we're all going to work together to make sure that everything on the ground's perfect. I don't know if you would agree with that, Judy, but that's my perspective is we're all
Sure.
one team. It doesn't matter where we are or who we work for. The end goal is a fantastic experience and everybody comes back.
Yes, but it's easy to say that and hard to deliver on that. So I was actually pretty impressed that you were willing to share Kira's information with me, and um, I really appreciated that, and would never reach out to her without letting you know that I was going to. But I just think it's easy for different, for business people to say something like that, or say, I will be involved with you throughout this process, and then they disappear after, so it's hard, I think, for all of us with, right, we work so hard, our Ollie teams work so hard at cultivating our membership and promoting
Mhm.
and growing our programs. We invest so much of ourselves in it that it's hard for us to turn it over to other people and
Mhm.
to extend that level of trust. So it's important when you do find somebody you can collaborate with that you
Absolutely.
it becomes the basis. It goes back to the foundation, right? So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
establish that trust foundation first.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so when you've built the foundation, you find the destination, you find the right partners, next step is getting the word out. Communication. How do you talk to your partners, or how do you talk to your community? How do you get the word out to start getting people excited about destinations and experiences and tours? And I think we've all kind of lived this life of, putting the word out. And obviously some tours and some experiences have a lot of success and some don't have the success we want.
Right.
So I would love to have a quick, listen, Nicola, your experience, I guess, to start in terms of bringing a destination to life. How do we kind of do that as OLLI programs once we have the right foundation and the right tour and the right host? How do we get that word out?
There are so many different ways to get the word out. And again, it comes back to identity. Like, what's the personality style of your learners, your lifelong learners? Do they like to read? Okay, so let's put out a blog post. Or do they like to listen? So you could do a storytelling about the destination. We all absorb and kind of diffuse information in different ways. So I think the most important thing is to think about all the ways about getting the word out. I think, as marketeers for travel programs for many years, all of us, we have our go-tos, but there's always new ways of getting messages out, right? So, to your point, Judy, earlier about having your little late afternoon kind of
Yeah.
storytelling session,
Yeah.
or having a food related event that has foods that people all, do a little potluck where everybody
Right.
makes something and brings something in. So
Hmm.
again, understanding the identity of your specific membership, and do they want a quick email and they're like, don't bother me, I don't have enough time.
Mm.
Please send me the details.
Yeah.
But it's about identifying s-
We
all
have,
the ways that people want to hear from you. In the same
yeah.
ways that you get your course catalog out there, right? And
Right.
it's the
Yep.
same for this. So think,
Hmm.
how does it work when we're getting the word out to develop our membership? What
Hmm.
channels work?
Right.
And repeating that then for any other opportunities. And that could be it could
Hmm.
be a travel program, it could be a unique class that you're delivering that's
Well, I was
just
going to say you can,
out the blue. Yeah.
yeah, you can use other opportunities as well. For instance, we take groups to Cuba regularly, and
Hmm.
we have a relationship with a dissident filmmaker there,
Hmm.
and we meet with him and see one of his films. Well, he had the opportunity to come to South Florida and premiere one of his new films. And so we were able to partner with other departments on campus and bring him to campus and have a screening of that. So I invited all the people who have been on our Cuba trips in the past, and we have been doing those trips since 2012, I think, um, as well as people who expressed interest along the way but hadn't yet signed up for a trip. And they got to meet him, and they got to talk to other people who had been in the past and see that kind of passion and firsthand. And so it doesn't have to be tied to an immediate travel opportunity, right? It could
Yeah.
be something else. And then later I go back to those people and said, hey, you were really interested in this, and I have this new opportunity. But a lot of it, as we've talked about before, and as my colleagues know around the network, is it's personal relationship building and relationships. And I have now a lot. I'm so fortunate that I have a lot of repeat travelers. So it's a joy for me. It makes it a lot easier. But it, that takes time, so that takes time. So just know that when you get into this, and I think that's where having a travel committee is great. I don't have a travel committee, and I think that that's a really wonderful resource to have, is to be able to then say, you know what, talk to this person and explain, about our trips and why you should be taking one of our trips. um, because in the end it comes down to that. You're developing that relationship with somebody, you're enticing them to spend a lot of money to take a trip
Hmm.
with you. And I always say that. I always say, thank you for trusting us. Thank you for choosing us for this trip, because you didn't have to. You have a lot of other options. The other thing I wanted to say that I don't think we mentioned was I do things after the fact as well. We do reunions. We do for Cuba, because it's unique and it can be a very emotional trip for people to take, and they don't always realize it when they sign up, but it's a lot of information in a short trip, and it can
Mhm.
be a bit draining emotionally. So what we do is we always have a follow-up session 2 to 4 weeks after we get back for people to just debrief about the trip itself. But then our trips, the people, I always say you leave as strangers, you come back as family on my trips,
Yeah.
because people
Mhm.
just, you develop these relationships. So we always do reunion kinds of things, get togethers for lunch at a theme. So, at a Spanish restaurant or something like that. So, I think and that does take time. Unfortunately, that kind of touch and outreach does take time, but there are automated tools you can use, and there are your partners that you can tap as well.
Yeah, no, we love doing all the creative work on your behalf with your
Yeah.
input. So, being able to create the flyers and the video content and these
Mhm.
kinds of webinars that Michael and I love to do, and
Yeah.
inviting people to come join us. And the orientation sessions are some of the most exciting things that we've done. And Michael, I know you get great energy from talking about the destinations and the itineraries, but being able to adapt it as well to your audience, right? Again, coming back to that, identify your audience and what they want to hear from you and what they don't want to hear from you. I
Mhm.
think that what they don't want is as important because, again, all of our time is precious, as is your members' time. They're very busy as well.
And I'll just say for folks who don't yet have a travel program, I'm housed in the Executive and Continuing Education Division, our OLLI, and I'm charged with generating revenue for the college through this travel, but also it's about engagements that we have with our members, having them have enriched engagements with each other. And
Hmm.
so, it's not always about making money, and there are a lot of other intangible benefits. And I'll just give a quick example that one of the gentlemen who has been to Cuba with me, I think 3 times now, has also been on some other trips with me. He wrote a $10,000 check to our OLLI last year, and just to help support our programming.
Awesome.
And that's not a huge donation, but it's huge for us, and
Yeah.
it speaks to the payoff of some of this work. And for me, and I think also for both Michael and Nicola, I think we're just so passionate about travel, and Eckerd College has a sort of unique goal that 95% of the graduating students will have had some kind of foreign learning experience before they leave. And we're really about creating citizens of the world. And
Mhm.
so we're just continuing that with our lifelong learning programs and lifelong learners. And so I think Nicola and Michael share the same passion that I have for how we make the world a better place, and
Definitely.
getting to
Mhm.
know other people, and travel can do that. And so yeah.
Absolutely. And I think the promotional aspect, I mean, it's a great story. Like the travel is a big part of what we do, but in the end, it's about building relationships with the college and the university, and what you're doing through the travel builds relationships internally. And when you're doing the promotion and you're doing it really well, there's a lot of people that are showing interest in your tour. Getting a chance to provide them opportunities to engage. Like, how are they going to provide inquiries? How are they going to reach out? How do they connect with you? And knowing
Mm,
that a lot of times, time is of the essence, and time is a resource that sometimes
yes.
you may not have. Having somebody be able to follow up and kind of be a part of that team in the follow up.
The
Tell us a little
worst
bit.
experience, well, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
the worst experience is having somebody call you and say, I've been trying to get a hold of XYZ provider and I can't get anyone to call me back, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And the trip leaves in, 72 hours or something. So
Yeah.
And
That's
Nicola,
that's
you've
something
that's
you've
what
been
that's,
there. Yeah.
yeah, that's
that's
what we
that
don't want.
that's what we don't want. And for us it's about that family, right? So we consider ourselves, family from the moment we connect to the consideration and then supporting family, right? So being there for them, whether that be in texts or WhatsApp or whatever works to be able to communicate and being a partner in the lead follow-up. Like, do
Mhm.
you want to do all of your own lead follow-up, or would you like us to help you with that? Do you need any assistance with that? Again, it comes back to not one size fits all. It's like some people really just, I'm going to talk to all of the people that are interested in this, and then I'll turn them over to you, versus, well, maybe we can have a joint conversation, or, passing by text is like, do you think this text will work for your audience? We haven't spoken to them in a couple of weeks. Should we offer them this as an opportunity? And having a partner with you that's willing to run down that detail and not just have the cookie cutter, well, we did the flyer, we did the website, now it's up to you. That
Right,
really isn't, it won't generate the energy that we need or the
right.
support that we need. So I think lead follow-up is critical, and
Hmm.
having those reports that we're able to share with you that says, these are the people that looked at the brochure online.
Hmm.
Have you spoke to them or not? Do you want us to speak to them?
That's
You
been
know.
really helpful for me,
Mhm.
because I currently keep leads as an interest folder and I save emails to PDFs and throw them in that folder. But the reports that you've been able to provide me have been really helpful. And I think we've had a pretty good lead conversion percentage wise
Mhm.
for this upcoming trip. But I appreciate that, you are staying in touch with people. And when people have followed up with me because they just don't know you yet, I said, can you look after this person and answer their questions? And you guys have done it right away. And that is really helpful for me.
Yeah, of course. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of like working alongside and working in partnership with Nanda Journeys, Nicola, tell us a little bit about how some of the maybe partners watching or potential partners watching today, or maybe watching the recording, might be able to experience have a quick win in 2026 working with Nanda.
Yeah, if you want to test whether or not travel is right for you, or whether you want to see whether or not what Nanda is about, we have an opportunity for you to join a couple of programs. We're working with the University of Pittsburgh and their OLLI team, and the Ireland journey is a Road to Peace journey that travels in the spring of next year. And then Judy's Eckerd South Africa journey is traveling in June. So we've decided to open that up to
Yeah.
all OLLI members, and they can join that just to get a taste,
Yeah.
or just to see what that looks and feels like. The Ireland journey just has a few spots, and I know your South Africa journey, Judy, it's almost sold out. It's
Yeah.
sold really well, but there are some
Yeah.
spots on there if you want to consider that. And then we're also talking about creating an opportunity for prospective host or leader discounts as well within
Yeah.
the NANDA framework. So we haven't quite got the details of that yet. It could look like a fam trip experience. It could look like a discount to join an existing journey. So I would invite you to reach out to us and let us know if that's of interest to you and what that would look like for you, because I think we want to be able to showcase what we can do for you and how tailor-made experiences can make a difference. So more to come on that information. But yeah, reach out if you think you want to share these two particular programs. And we have another South Africa journey coming up as
Yeah.
well later in the year with our
Yeah.
friends at University of Alabama, the Huntsville. And I know
And
they'd
I,
be happy as well.
yeah. Yeah. And I would say don't hesitate to sort of share your members with other programs like this, because um, we do, you know, we go out of our way to make everyone feel special and feel part of our OLLI community. So I have a woman actually who sent me an email. This was interesting. She said, I don't think I told you, Nicola. She sent me an email last week saying, I've always wanted to go to Singapore and I found out about your trip, but I know it's only for your OLLI members. And I'm a member of OLLI Northwestern. And so can
Oh,
you tell me who your packager is so I can reach out and see if they have a trip to Singapore? Because Singapore is a unique place. There aren't a
yeah.
lot of trips that go exclusively to Singapore. So I
Mhm.
wrote back and I said, "Well, I am the packager, and we'd love to have you join us." And she said, "Oh, I've done some when I've traveled to St. Pete in the winter. I've taken classes at your OLLI, and they've been excellent." So anyway, she signed up. She's going. So
Great.
my goal is to not make anyone feel outside or that they're not
Mhm.
part. And I'm sure University of Pittsburgh OLLI would be absolutely the same way if I went on their trip. They would treat me like I was one of their team as well. So don't be
Yeah,
afraid. Yeah.
100%. It's a great way to be able to tap into something that you're passionate about and join people
Mhm.
that are passionate about the same thing. And
Yeah.
I know all of the journeys that we have, like people that are traveling solo, they're so worried, but
Yes.
they, they create so many friendships. Like you said,
Yes.
they leave as family, but we
Right.
like to say we onboard them as family. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's kind
Yeah.
of the approach that we take. So yeah, those are the opportunities that we're working on for next year. And then of course we have to start talking about how do you start to build or grow or start your OLLI programs? And really this timeline is really important. It's like decide the themes and the leaders and your hosts now. That's
Mhm.
really important because the runway is long, especially if you're
Yep.
customizing a program.
Mhm.
If you're selling into something that's pre-existing, your runway is not as long. But if you want to do something that is highly customized and aligns with your specific OLLI, then that takes a good 3 to 4 months to get that developed. Because we're shaping it. We're not just saying this is the itinerary, these are the dates.
Right.
We're nurturing what that looks like, and it's an iterative process. So
Mhm.
it takes time. So
Right.
customization, it's our passion. And we probably could do a lot more journeys and a lot more trips if we just said, no, this is our itinerary, this is all we have, but the outcome is not the same. Like what you achieve is not, from our perspective, is not the
Right.
same. So allow time for that. And then we really are already developing programs for 27.
Yeah.
Um, 26, I would say the fall is still a possibility if we start having a conversation now.
Mhm.
And then we make it easy. So it's as easy as one, two, three.
Yeah.
Like
I
set
will
the
say
foundation.
doing the South Africa trip has been super easy for me. I I did, we had a webinar information session with Nicola, and then I sent the recording out to people, and you've sent it out to people on your end, and from the leads generated, and um, it's just been really low hanging fruit for me because I haven't had to spend the time that I normally would hand holding through the registration process and answering all the questions and doing all of those things. So that part's been really easy. Um, but yeah, do leave time. I have a question for both of you, and that has to do with lead time. So I know we opened our South Africa program almost a year in advance, and it
Mhm.
filled up pretty quickly with where we need to be. Is that the sweet spot, do you find? Because I'm trying to do more long-term planning, and
Yeah, I find the sweet spot is a year in advance,
yeah,
like to launch
to
around
open registration.
the open
Yeah.
registration. So that
Okay.
really means it's somewhere between 9 months and a year. It
Hmm.
tends to be the sweet spot, right? If
Yeah.
you already have an existing travel program and you have people that are already interested in travel, you could probably do that 9 month window to launch.
Hmm.
But something really new and
Yeah.
different, I would say give it 12 months
Okay.
because people are making their commitments on their schedule that far in advance.
Right. Right. That's true. And South Africa is a really big trip for us. It's
Hmm.
something we've never done. So, I mean, of this, distance, destination, all of it.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. That 12-month window is really that sweet spot, especially depending on destination wise, budget wise, how much the tour is. 12
mhm.
years, 12 months gives you an opportunity to get people inspired about the destination for them to say, do I want to go here? And then make the decision to actually travel. So I think that 12 months. But we're running short on time. We
Yep.
have about 6 minutes. If you do have any questions, those listening, please feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll give Nicola an opportunity to give us a quick overview of all the amazing things Nanda Journey does. And if we do have questions at the end, we'll get to those as well. But Nicola, tell us a little bit about traveling with purpose and passion with Nicola.
Yeah, I hope that I don't have to spend too much time on this slide because I hope my energy has come through in the last 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So really, travel has been my lifelong passion. I started at the ripe old age of 17, worked in educational travel and traditional travel for many, many years before starting Nanda Journeys in 2015. So we're really a good mission match. Everything about OLLI is Nanda, and we have this phrase, the Nanda way. So everything about your lifelong learning passion really is how we model ourselves in building travel programs. So uniquely educational, uniquely immersive, uniquely, driven by small group experiences. I can't find a better match. And Michael introduced me to the OLLI programs, and I'm forever grateful for that. We're perfect in every way because it's exactly how we approach our programming, is the way you approach your programming too. So just come and ask us about the Nanda way, and you'll see we're a good mission match.
Yeah.
That's great. And thank you so much to both of you for the amazing conversation today. It doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat right now, but I would like to leave you both with the opportunity to say, answer one question from me. In terms of let me start with Nicola, I guess, first. In terms of your success with OLLI programs and the conversations that you have with OLLI programs, specifically OLLI Institutes, where have you found the ones that are successful? Where are the ones, what have they done that, you know, OLLI programs might be able to gain insight or influence from in their area of expertise? Like those travel programs the most successful, what do you find tends to differentiate them?
I think is that people connection. I think Judy actually already
Mm,
shared that secret sauce with us, is having a connection to the people and understanding what they want and understanding that personality of your unique OLLI. So it's not just about offering a travel program for the sake of offering a travel program.
mm,
Really make sure it aligns with your mission and vision and
mhm,
how you're already managing your OLLI program. Just make it match
mhm.
that personality and create that excitement for it, and it will be successful for
Yeah,
sure. Don't do it just because you think you have to. Do it
right.
because you want to, and
Mm.
that's the difference.
I
And
think that's a really great point because I think when we focus just on the revenue opportunities, we lose a little bit of that. I know it's obviously a reality in our world that we have to look at that, but I think what you just said was so key. If it matches the flavor of our existing OLLI programs and it's designed to enhance the lives of our members and the learning opportunity, and you know, also we are ambassadors of the United States when we go abroad,
Mhm.
and who better to be ambassadors than OLLI members, right? They're the best of the best citizens.
Yeah.
So when you think of those things, the bigger picture things, I think the revenue will follow.
Yeah, and sometimes really, some of the OLLI programs that we're working with, they're not revenue focused. They're
Hmm.
member enhancement focused. So again, that comes back to that personality style of your OLLI. What is your motivation for the travel program? Is it for revenue? Is it for experience? Is it
And
for
I don't know,
enhancing?
did you mention that, Nicola, that you allow customizing the pricing and
Yeah, I think that's a point that we didn't quite get to. There's so many things to chat
yeah,
about, but personalization, both of the contract, how you want to price and model that. Again, every OLLI is unique, and we shape and construct a program that aligns with you, for your members.
yeah,
So we can the pricing structure is totally pliable.
yeah.
We adjust it to make sure that it fits for you.
And that was something really helpful for me. So,
Yeah.
well, again, thank you both for your time. We are at 1:59. We're 1 minute ahead of schedule. But I will leave the final words to you, Judy. Thank you so much for joining us.
oh,
Any last words you'd like to leave with our attendees today?
no, just thank you for having me, and thank you, both of you, for introducing me to Nanda and taking me on this journey, because it's been very enriching for me as well so far. And I'm happy to talk with any of my colleagues who want to bounce ideas off, and I hope you'll take my calls when I have questions for you as well.
Awesome. Nicola, last word for you.
Well, thank you everybody for being here. Judy, you're a dream to work with, as
Oh,
are the
thank
other
you.
partners, your colleagues around the country who I'm developing very, very special relationships with. It is a special relationship and it's a friendship at this point. So thank you so much. And I hope to talk to many more of you soon.
Yep.
Awesome. Well,
Thanks.
thank you, Judy.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Nicola. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. We really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you on our next OLLI Travel Insights webinar, but more importantly, we look forward to seeing you on an OLLI program very soon with Nanda Journeys. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week. Thanks so
Great.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.